It's time, Fort Wayne. Your sports, your station. It's the Sports Rush with Brett Rump.
Max Landis.
Covering all the topics that hit a nerve here in the Summit City.
Clark goes 11 yards, touchdown.
Only on 1380 The Fan and 100.9 FM. Now here's your host, Brett Rump.
The greatest, most interesting, most important person of all time.
You are incredible. Older than one. Yeah, well, you're half right.
What is this, amateur hour?
This is going to be huge.
I believe this is going to be our finest hour.
Just when I think you said the stupidest thing ever, you keep talking.
I think that's the worst thing I've ever heard.
That boy ain't right.
The simplest way to put it, I have problems.
Welcome to the alleged show.
Here I go again on my own. Going down the only road I've ever known.
You have to wait all day, but we are ready to roll and take you home on a Tuesday. It is the Sports Rush, your daily local sports fix, 4 to 6. I am Brett Rump, along with Adam Lundy and you on the Parkview Sports Medicine text line at 260-447-8500. Love to know what's on your sports brain today. 260-447-8500. We've got some good guests. Dustin Dopirak from the Indy Star is going to be joining us about 30 minutes or so. We'll talk about the Pacers, one of the hottest teams in the NBA, the hottest team in the Eastern Conference, and find out what are the keys to the turnaround for the Indiana Pacers, who've got that big win over Cleveland. They got another win against the Cavs tonight, and they're going to have to do it shorthanded because Tyrese Halliburton is going to be out tonight. And I think what we're going to find when we talk to Dustin is that Tyrese Halliburton has been one of the keys to the resurgence of the Indiana Pacers of late. He's had much better numbers than he did early in the season, but they got some other guys that have been contributing, and we'll talk about it, including Thomas Bryant, former Indiana Hoosier, who they got on the roster. Was that a trade? I'm trying to remember if that was a trade or
I don't remember.
I think they made some kind of trade to get him.
Yeah.
But he's been terrific.
Absolutely. He's been quite a spark plug for the Pacers, no question.
A perfect fit, too. I did not realize that he still had that skill of stretching a defense and stepping outside the three-point line.
Let's see. Bryant was traded to the Indiana Pacers in exchange for the right swap second-round picks in the 2031 NBA draft.
That's right. So basically it's a trade of nothing.
Pretty much. It's kind of a salary thing maybe for Miami.
Who was the trade with? Miami?
Miami.
And so you got two teams that are pretty much not that far apart in the standings. So the trade of picks could go either way, which means actually the Pacers may literally trade nothing for a better pick in the second round. And, you trade with Miami and an exchange of picks, right?
Pretty much, yeah.
And I'm thinking Miami's going to finish below Indiana, so Miami will have a better pick, right?
Right, and it's not even that they swapped picks. It's in exchange for the right to swap second-round picks. So it's basically if the one team wants to when we get there, I believe.
So it may be literally for nothing.
It might be.
It's a good deal.
It is a good deal.
Pacers pulled one off because Thomas Bryant's, the team's been better with him. You can't argue with the results.
No.
But we'll talk to Dustin Dopirak about the Indiana Pacers coming up later this hour. Also, hour number 2, we'll talk to Dylan Sin. Still got some college football to cover.
Oh, yeah.
And it's the Notre Dame Fighting Irish taking on the Ohio State Buckeyes.
Under a week
in
away.
Atlanta.
Yeah.
Yeah, less than a week. Oh, by the way, you know what is exactly 2 months away from today? Let me just double check this because I was doing this in my head.
Okay.
But let me just do a quick double check.
I have a guess, but
and see. Oh, you do?
I have a guess, but I think I'm wrong because it's
actually 2 months and 2 days.
Okay.
We're not quite there yet, but
I'm gonna guess. I think I'm wrong just because I think what I'm thinking of starts a little later. But I'm gonna guess the start of March Madness.
No, it's actually Selection Sunday.
Oh, okay. I was close. You got to figure out who's playing who before they can play. So.
Yeah. Selection Sunday. So we have got basically 2 months to determine who we think should be in the field, what they should be seeded for March Madness. So we haven't had the national football game yet, the national championship football game, but we now can start almost counting down the days to March Madness.
It's crazy.
Yeah, it is. It does seem to be kind of crazy, but And yes, of course, we are less than 3 months away from Tin Caps baseball.
April, around the corner.
If anything makes you feel like it's almost baseball season, it's today's weather.
Yeah, I know. I saw the Tin Caps. They posted a photo of what the Parkview Field looked like today with this weather, and it was not looking like baseball ready quite yet.
I had to branch out where I have never been before this morning.
Where'd you go?
Well, during the day, one of my hats is I am now a WOWO marketing executive as well as a 1380 The Fan executive. So I do a lot of marketing programs through WOWO Radio as well as through The Fan. This morning, WOWO has a significant presence at the farm show that's taking place at the Allen County War Memorial Coliseum for the next few days. And all of us on staff that have association with WOWO here at Federated Media kind of had to go out, man the booth. You're going to be doing this tomorrow a little bit.
Yeah, I'll be hanging out with the WOWO crew tomorrow at the farm show. If you want to come, stop by, say hi. We'll be right outside the front entrance because we need cell service.
Because we don't have a show tomorrow.
Yeah, getting there. No show tomorrow. You got to travel. You got to head with the Dons over to Wright State.
I'll be tomorrow afternoon. I'll be on the road heading over to Dayton, and then we'll have the Mastodons in Wright State. But no, I went. Well, they told me, they said, "Hey, we've got someplace you want to go where you can talk about combines." And I thought, really? Well, that's cool. We're only about a month away or so. I'll go wherever you need me. And then they sent me to the farm show. Thank you very much.
I was thinking of a different combine.
Appearing here daily, 4 to 6.
Oh, my goodness. I'm glad you were able to get your joke out on air because I had heard it before we started the show, and I really encouraged you.
I've tested it on Twitter. I don't think I got a single like, but I thought, even despite that, I'm going to still give it a shot.
Did I not like it? I thought I gave you at least a thumbs up for that one.
Yeah, I mean, there's no real emoji for laughing.
No.
Well, I guess there is an emoji for laughing hysterically, but nobody did that either. But anyway, no, I spent some time at the farm show.
Sure did. Did you see anything fun? Any cows?
No. I mean, things you hear at the farm show, and let me just filter in my own brain for a second, because I was thinking about this when I was at the farm show. Some of the things and phrases you hear that you only hear at a farm show. One I heard was, I know, there was something where a guy, and I couldn't hear the exact phrase, but it was something about, I'm only interested if she's at least 2 tons. That's something that you probably only hear at the farm show. Another one is, a guy said, I have got to get out there and take a look at that bull. And so it's like, I don't know what that was about, but he's on the phone. He's on the phone talking to somebody, and I heard that as I walked by his booth. I have got to get out there and take a look at that bull.
The bull, huh?
Yeah, I'm trying to think of other things that you only hear at the farm show. But that's where I had to spend my morning.
Clearly, he liked watching the Capital One Orange Bowl between Notre Dame and Penn State, and was saying he has to get out to one of those bowl games next year. Take a look at one of those.
The bowl games, yeah, the bowl. That's it.
That's the bowl he's got to go see.
I got to get out there and take a look at that bowl. Where's that? Boom! I mean, come on, Adam, you got it. Yeah, we're on a roll today. Didn't think you were going to tune into the Comedy Network.
Sorry, listeners.
Just how long is it going to take before we get a text? Get to sports.
Talk about something important.
We don't need to hear any more about the farm show. All right, so the Colts have announced another interview.
Yeah.
And it's Wink Martindale. Who would you rather have? Dennis Allen, Wink Martindale. Just initial thoughts. Do you have a preference between the two? Do you know enough about the two to try to determine a preference?
Me personally, no. I don't know the overall resumes overall better.
I think part of this is going to be what personality do you think is going to work better with this defense? Because Wink Martindale can be a little abrasive, over the top, fairly demanding. I mean, he's going to run a defense a little bit like the bad cop. I think much more Dennis Allen would play the good cop. Both I think would have a much more aggressive nature than Gus Bradley, but then again, who doesn't?
Right.
Mr. Rogers would have a more aggressive defense than either one, or than Gus Bradley. But those are the two interviews we know of right now. Wink Martindale, Dennis Allen.
Yeah, and Wink Martindale is drawing some interest from several teams across the league, not just the Colts. I know he's got an interview scheduled with the Falcons today and the Colts tomorrow, and the Bengals could also have interest in Martindale as well.
Interesting.
Yeah.
He's now I don't know if anybody is like me that's been around a while, but every time I hear the name Wink Martindale, the first person I think of is not a defensive coordinator. The first person I think of is a game show host, Wink Martindale, that used to host game shows when I was a kid.
Huh.
You don't know him.
No, I don't know that Wink Martindale.
And I wish I could name one show that he actually hosted.
Tic-Tac-Dough, High Rollers, Debt.
Oh, these are big ones that have stuck around through the test of time. They bring back a bunch of old game shows like Match Game and Family Feud's still around. Yeah, that one hasn't made the cycle of...
Gambit.
Gambit was the big one, I think.
All right.
I remember Gambit.
All right, well, there's a couple of them for you.
Wink Martindale.
Sounds like someone that would be like a singer from like the 1950s alongside Frank Sinatra and the Rat Pack. Oh, it's Sinatra and Martindale.
Yeah. Was it Dick Martin? Dick Martin? No.
I think in the Rat Pack?
Oh, I'm so bad at this. I can name these people if I...
Errol Flynn, Nat King Cole. Oh, no, those other people. Frank Sinatra, Dean Martin, Sammy Davis Jr.
Dean Martin. Why did I say Dick Martin? Dean Martin.
Peter Lawford and Joey Bishop. They're like, why are we talking about the Rat Pack today?
We have talked about some weird stuff so far.
This has been a very interesting start.
Colts announced they're interviewing Wink Martindale. We go to game shows and now the Rat Pack. Of course, I still am frustrated that the Colts kept Chris Ballard.
Yeah, I mean, it's just you still wonder if there will ever be a big enough move made under Chris Ballard to really turn the franchise around and get him away from that mediocrity.
Well, I feel like it's the Colts a year ago keeping Gus Bradley for another year.
Yeah.
I mean, unless you're willing to significantly change what is your base philosophy. And I mean, Chris Ballard is who he is. And I don't know that he can change enough to really see through the wrongs of his ways. I mean, he loves the guys he's drafted. He always believes they're more talented than they probably really are. He loves to give the young players a shot, and he just doesn't want to test free agency. He is very cautious about investing in top line free agents. And even when pushed on it at the press conference, his answer was that he thought they could get some free agents and be more aggressive with free agents that they want that could help provide depth to our program, and give us some better competition. He didn't say, I'm looking for guys that can jump in and immediately be starters and impact players at key positions. And the Colts have the needs. I mean, tight end, corner, safety. You got plenty of positions but it just seems like he has the same approach to free agency that he has to the draft. I'd rather get 3 players out of free agency that are all very moderately priced than to go out and spend on one real key guy and ride that guy for our hopes. But the draft, he does the same thing. Mm-hmm. He wants quantity over quality, and so instead of trading up and trying to really go cherry pick a guy that you've evaluated to be much better than other talent, what he wants to do is drop down and get a pool of players that he believes will produce a diamond in the rough. And, I guess it's like you could buy the gem in the store that's all cut and polished, and it's graded a VVS1 with an F color. Or you could just mine tons of rocks hoping that there's a diamond in there that might just be better. And that's kind of what Chris Ballard does. You like that?
That was your jewelry store experience coming to play.
That was my certified diamondology experience in background.
Oh, there I was. I've been so long, I was a certified diamond appraiser. There you go, selling that bling. But no, I mean, it's just, we heard Chris Ballard, and it's like, great, you were critical of yourself in your season-ending press conference, but at the same time, we talked about how he kind of snuck back in some of those same mannerisms, some of those same things that we've heard him say. You know, we've got guys in the building we've got a lot of young talent.
Yeah.
And then you hear about, free agency bringing in guys for depth and competition. That's not what we're trying to get out of free agency.
No,
he
keeps saying, these guys, some of these young guys, we've got talent. I think they've got the chance to be really good. I really do. I really like them. And it's like,
just leave that part out.
Yeah.
Just focus on free agency, not trading back for $1 million fifth-round picks. Go from there.
Put them realistically on an evaluation chart and then figure out who might be available that you could get that is rated higher than where you put that player. Because that's the whole key. You've got to upgrade at multiple positions, and the only way you do that is if you start with a fair and honest evaluation of your guy, so you know if the new guy is actually going to be better and improve your football team. It's that simple. 260-447-8500, 260-447-8500. Time to take a look around the world of sports. What's happening? Here comes today's top headlines with Adam Lundy.
All right, thanks, Brett. Well, the IU football program picked up a commitment from North Carolina State transfer defensive back Devin Boykin today. The 5'10", 195-pound Boykin started at least one game in each of his first 3 years in Raleigh before missing the 2024 season due to a knee injury. He sustained the injury in bowl practice for the 2023 Pop-Tarts Bowl. He recorded 54 total tackles and 3 interceptions in 2023. Indiana forward Malik Renew is out for tonight's game against Illinois at Simon Scott Assembly Hall per the Big Ten availability report, and Indiana guard Cannon Carlisle is also questionable. Michael Lewis, who was arrested on a felony charge for allegedly stalking WNBA star Caitlin Clark, appeared in court today and immediately was rebuked by the judge for talking. When he entered the courtroom at Marion County Superior Court, Lewis sat back in his chair and said, quote, "guilty as charged," and he interrupted the court's proceedings multiple times.
We got a real nutcase on our hands, man.
Yeah, Judge Angela Davis entered a not guilty plea on Lewis's behalf, stating that she wouldn't accept a guilty plea at an initial hearing and assigned a public defender to the case. Lewis could face up to 6 years in prison and a $10,000 fine. And that's a look at your stories today, Brett.
So he comes into court. The only thing he's got to say, guilty as charged.
And I think he just kept interrupting with that.
And the judge still put in a not guilty plea. I'd throw him behind bars, give him the max. He wants it. He's asking for it.
Dude is a weirdo.
He is. Man, that is sad. That's today's top headlines with Adam Lundy. Still coming up at the show, Dustin Dopirak joins us coming up in about 15 minutes to talk some Pacers basketball. They get set to take on Cleveland for the second time in a row tonight, and we'll talk to Double D. Just wanted to call him that.
You just wanted to get that on
I just wanted to get that off my chest, so to speak.
Let's get this weird first segment over with.
I feel that. Give me a little drum beat for that one. Oh, man. Okay, we'll move on.
Let's do it.
Let's talk. You know what we got to talk about?
What do we got?
I don't know if you've seen this new sport that's airing on ESPN, but tonight something special we got to tell you about so you don't miss it.
All right.
That's on the other side with the Sports Rush. What show is this? Sports Rush. That's right. I was about to say on Comedy Central on 1380 The Fan and 100.9 FM. Former Indiana coach Tom Allen has a new home. Of course, he was the defensive coordinator for the Penn State Nittany Lions this past season, and now he will hold that same title for the Clemson Tigers. Just announced today, Tom Allen, D.C. for Clemson. That has become official. Also, someone just sent me this, and it's a graphic with national stats for Jalen Jackson.
Yeah, I saw this on the Twitter, yeah.
Yeah, it was posted today by the Mastodon's social media platforms in the national rankings. Now, you think about this, there's 363, 364, 365. The number changes every year. D1 programs, and every D1 program probably has what? 9 players in a rotation. You've got 3,000 or more players that play Division I basketball. And when I say play, I mean actually play in rotation, getting significant minutes on the court each game. Probably 3,000. In the national rankings right now, Jalen Jackson is 5th in the country in number of field goals. Out of all players, he is 5th in the country in number of field goals. He is 7th in the country in total points. He is 27th in the country. This is like top 1% of 1 percentile or something like that. 27th in the country in free throws. And 29th in the country in steals. Filling up the stat sheet, Jalen Jackson.
Sounds to me like he's a top 30 player in NCAA basketball.
It's kind of interesting that I think a lot of schools probably feel like they missed with him.
Definitely.
And one of the reasons probably, and this is just the structure with which you play in high school basketball, played a very disciplined, structured system under Marty Beasley at Carroll. There was not a team that was fast-paced, up and down. Totally different style as to what he plays now with Purdue Fort Wayne and what he's doing with the Dons, with the motion and the read and react offense. Really gives him a lot of opportunities because the Dons will cut and move and take players out of the lane to give him perhaps an open side of the court or a one-on-one opportunity to take it to the basket. He's very strong, very physical. Coach Kaufman's compared him to Bryson Scott with the way he has this physical ability to get to the basket, even when guarded by bigger defenders. And I tell you this, there's not an official stat, and it's not in this stat sheet, but if there was a national stat for drawing charges,
I was just going to say, you're talking about charges drawn, and that's
nobody
Jalen.
Is better at it. And, I mean, he does it perfectly. And it's not even – it's not like master flopper. No, he actually just gets into a position where the player pulls up that forearm or gives him a little bump, and he's very good at enhancing maybe a little bit what kind of contact there was. But he has drawn, I can't even begin to tell you, 15, 20 offensive fouls this year.
Yeah, I mean
at least one per game.
Definitely one per game. He is just willing to put his body on the line and take that contact when an offensive player just gets going downhill too hard, gets out of control. He's right there.
Last week was the debut. I kind of scanned and went past it and kind of checked it out and then went past it. Tonight I'm going to watch. It's TGL on ESPN. TGL, I don't even know what it stands for.
I'll tell you.
Is it the Golf League?
It stands for Tomorrow Golf League. However, the tomorrow is abbreviated as well as TMRW. So Tomorrow Golf League, TGL.
But tonight, Tiger Woods is going to make his debut in the TGL. And I don't know how to compare this. It's indoor golf, and it is a point system. And fans really seem to buy into it in week one, but I think tonight it will be just a crazy atmosphere. Each hole is going to be different, and you play the hole. It's match play against an opposing team. Tiger is part of a team from Jupiter.
Yeah, Jupiter Links Golf Club is their team. It's Tiger Woods, Max Homa, Tom Kim, and Kevin Kistner.
And then Colin Morikawa is going to head up is it the LA Golf Club?
It is the LA Golf Club.
And so you will have the two teams play against each other in match play, and every hole counts for a point unless you throw the hammer.
Dun, dun, dun.
And every hole, a team will have possession of the hammer.
Not just the hammer. Golden hammer.
The golden hammer. And what you can do is make that 1 point hole a 2 point hole by throwing down the hammer. And where you would want to do that is, let's say you have a perfect drive and your opponent, shanks one or something. Now you feel like you've got a chance to win the hole. And instead of taking 1 point, you want to get 2 points out of it. So you might throw down the hammer. Well, then your opponent has the choice. Do they even want to go ahead and play the hole out? Or do they want to just concede the hole at that point? Because if you deny the hammer, you've actually conceded the hole. And you give up 1 point rather than play the hole out for 2 points. So, and then what happens is if you use the hammer, then the hammer goes to the other team and it alternates. There's just one hammer and it can go back and forth between the teams. But it's well conceived, and I'm looking forward to actually watching it and taking more of it in. I don't know if anybody of our listeners watched this last week. I can't even tell you who played.
Right. I can tell you at least one of our listeners knew. They said TGL Golf, Tiger plays tonight. It's awesome to see.
They're ready.
They're ready. I'll tell you what, one thing I did find funny is the hammer that they throw. It's a towel.
Just a towel?
It's a Mjolnir-shaped gold towel.
Well, it can be, I guess, whatever you want it to be.
I mean, we couldn't even gotten
figurative.
It's a prop hammer.
We're
going with a towel here.
I know. Obviously, they started the league on a budget.
But it should be fun. Should be interesting to see, and I think it could expand the game of golf should it become successful.
Well, it also gives you golf in the dead of winter when most people can't be playing golf.
Very true.
And for a guy like Tiger, who's coming back from injury after injury after injury after injury, it also allows him to play around on television where he doesn't have to walk, he doesn't have to go up and down hills.
Yeah.
It's a much friendlier round of golf on the body.
Definitely.
260-447-8500, the Parkview Sports Medicine text line. It is a Tuesday. That means coming up later, we will have Tuesday time capsule trivia. We mentioned tomorrow, no show. I will be traveling. Dons have a big road game. They'll be taking on Wright State at Dayton. Time to get some road wins. You know, Coach Kaufman says if you want to have a shot at a championship, the formula is fairly simple. You've got to win all of your games at home, and you've got to split your road games. You've got to win at least half of the road games. Now, that would give you in the Horizon League a 15-5 record, and historically, that has been good enough to win the league. If you can get better than half the road wins, now you're talking 16, 17 wins, that would almost definitely win the league. But, nobody's unbeaten at this point through 6 or 7 games. Nobody has been able to get through the gauntlet without at least one loss. So you got to figure nobody's going to be better than 4 or 5 losses. So the Dons right now are 1-2 on the road. That means you've got to start winning some road games. And they've won back-to-back years at Wright State. And Wright State is ranked right now, according to net rankings, as the 3rd best team in the Horizon League. So it will be a challenge. Dons, Wright State, coming up tomorrow night. We've got your coverage starting at 6:45 with the pregame show. All right, we'll take a break. We come back. Dustin Dopirak to talk Indiana Pacers basketball. They're home to the Cleveland Cavaliers tonight. It is a rematch from the game 2 nights ago where the Pacers came from behind and dominated Cleveland, ending the Cavaliers, 12-game winning streak?
Yep, 12.
And so the Pacers now going tonight with a 6-game winning streak. We'll talk to Mr. Dopirak on the other side of the break. It's the Sports Rush taking you home on a Tuesday on 1380 The Fan and 100.9 FM. Welcome back to the Sports Rush, your daily local sports fix, 4 to 6. Brett Rump with Adam Lundy, and of course our Parkview Sports Medicine text line 260-447-8500. Questions, comments, or suggestions. Always enjoy listening or hearing from our listeners. All right, tonight it is more Pacers basketball. It's a different team right now than the one that finished up 2024. 2024 ended, and the Pacers all of a sudden decided we're not losing anymore.
No more.
January's been a good month. They have a 6-game winning streak. They got the victory over the Cleveland Cavaliers, who've had a dominant first half of the season so far.
Yeah, and that was on the road and without a second half of Halliburton.
Yeah, and so tonight they may have to go a whole game without Halliburton. Can they keep the streak going? Let's talk Pacers basketball with Dustin Dopirak, who joins us. He's from the Indy Star. He's in Indianapolis, ready to attend this game. And Dustin, first thing first, what's different about this team? How do you see this winning streak? I mean, it might be easy to say it's Tyrese Halliburton, but it wasn't necessarily Tyrese Sunday. But What has changed with this Indiana Pacers team over the last 6 games?
Yeah, a bunch of things. So it's really the last month. I mean, they've won, I think, 12. I think it's 12 of their last 15. I mean, the 3 losses in there are tough ones. I mean, they lost to Oklahoma City, lost the road one at Boston before they beat them the next night. They lost to Milwaukee. So those are 3 tough games they lost in that period, and they've won pretty much overall since. And really, the thing that changed everything, I think, was Andrew Nembhard getting back to full health, and also them really sort of integrating Andrew Nembhard. I mean, not that he's a hard guy to get involved, but one thing Rick Carlisle would go back to is that period around the NBA Cup when they didn't make the knockout rounds, and they finally got the practices. I mean, they'd gone a while without being able to practice, and they'd lost some guys, brought some guys back. Just seemed generally disjointed, especially they had a really bad game in Brooklyn where they lost 99-90. I think Rick's been referring to that lately as their worst game of the season. And I would, pretty much agree, that and their loss to Charlotte after that. But they seem to get things right against, they won a game against the Bulls in Chicago because they had like a 90-minute shoot-around just to kind of get everybody, reacclimated. And then they had a couple of practices where that really happened. And you've seen a lot better connectivity on both sides of the floor since then. But Nembhard is a big piece to it, too, just him getting back to his full minutes. I mean, the first 2 weeks of December, he was mostly on kind of a minutes restriction coming off of his knee tendonitis. He's been back healthy. There's been so many better things they've been able to do. The lineup with basically with him back as a starter with Mathurin, Siakam, Turner, and Halliburton has been one of the best lineups in the league in terms of net rating, in terms of their offensive rating versus their defensive rating. There's a sizable gap. They're really playing defense now. I mean, even a year ago when they were an Eastern Conference Finals team, especially how well they started out, especially early, they really weren't guarding anybody. They won a game where they gave up 152 points last year, and they went out and held Cleveland to 40 in the second half of this game. And Nembhard's a big piece of that because he's really the guy defending at the point of attack, and he's really bringing a lot of the full court pressure they were using in that game. It was really hounding Darius Garland, making it really hard for him to get into the Cavaliers' offense the other night. But I mean, he's been the thing that's changed things. I mean, even it's like he didn't play the Boston game, and they lost that one by 37. And so you could tell the immediate difference. They got him right back, and then beat Boston the next night. You're at an advantage where when you lose the first of these two going into the second one in a lot of cases, but still, it tells you a lot about how different of a team they are when they have Andrew Nembhard available.
Is he a guy that just by his own presence changes the defense, or when he's out there, does it carry over and the rest of the guys? Because sometimes a guy like that, it's contagious. You see what he's doing defensively, and you kind of pick it up a little bit.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's both in that case. I mean, I think certainly for one, they just didn't have a guy that they could put on, a really good top of the line ball handler scorer, before him, when he was out. I mean, Aaron Nesmith's been out. Obviously, Ben Shepherd is a guy that they increasingly trust in those scenarios, but they're still bringing him off the bench. Kind of overall, he'll probably start tonight, with Halliburton. He's doubtful, and so he'll probably be out. But all the same, basically, like having just one guy that you really lean on goes a long way. The last couple of years, it's been Nembhard and Nesmith has been out since November 1st, and they needed just somebody they could trust. I mean, they were putting Quentin Jackson, a two-way contract guy, on the other team's, leading scorer, leading perimeter scorer. And, Quentin played his butt off. I mean, absolutely gave it everything he could while he was getting starters minutes. But he's a two-way contract guy for a reason. At the end of the day, like he's not the guy that you expect to put in those scenarios. And so, again, guy did everything he could. He was really playing physical, hard basketball. But Nembhard is the guy that's been doing this now. It's really his third season. All 3 of his seasons he's been in the NBA. He's been taking on those kinds of assignments, and you see the growth every time. And he's better now, I think, than he's ever been. But I do think he raised the level of some other guys. I think he's raised Benedict Mathurin's level, most obviously. I mean, Mathurin and Nembhard came out of the same draft class. Obviously, Mathurin was, all rookie his first year. Nembhard was close, but I mean, Mathurin has that capacity to score, but Nembhard does most of the other things better, than Mathurin does. And so Nembhard it seems like Mathurin has sort of picked up from being around Nembhard just what the requirements are, and he's usually taking on the opponent's second best offensive player in a lot of cases. If it's a guy 1 through 3, if it's a Giannis or somebody like that. Usually, Pascal Siakam gets that, and he's, I think, done very well in those situations, too. I think he's been better defensively this year than he was last year as well. But I do think Nembhard being out there raises everybody else's level, and a lot of guys I think are picking up on it, but especially Benedict Mathurin.
The winning Pacers, it also kind of coincides when you look at the statistics with the arrival of Thomas Bryant. What impact has he had with the Pacers since his arrival?
Yeah, it's been significant. And obviously, first off, he basically, I don't want to say he won them one game, but, I mean, more or less, they don't win without his performance in the one game that Miles Turner missed with an illness. So, I mean, that's at least one win that you can point to that's like the Thomas Bryant game. He had 22 and 8. I'm trying to think of who they were playing, but I mean that one was really big. But I mean he brings level of physicality. You need to have a true backup center. I mean, you really need to have, even if he's not going to play more than 10 or 15 minutes for you, you have to have the ability to bring somebody off the bench that's got center size. And they were getting by on really Obi Toppin as the backup 5-man. He's powerful. That's how he's built. He did really well. You can run that lineup out for a while. It can be effective in certain circumstances. If you're facing another team that doesn't have a lot of front court depth, you can be fine. But a lot of cases, you're going to need someone who's got real size off the bench. Bryant's provided that. But he can also do a lot of the things Miles Turner does, not quite as well, but he shoots the three pretty well. So you can do a lot of the same pick and pop stuff that you do with Miles Turner that keeps the floor spaced out and makes them kind of hard, a little bit unpredictable, and makes it harder to just break up pick and roll over and over and over again when you have reason to be concerned that guy's going to pop and he can make a three. That makes that action harder to guard. And that's Halliburton's bread and butter is just working with that ball screen stuff. He and Turner have been fantastic at that. And if basically Bryant was close. Was close to as good as Turner was. Obviously, Turner's been consistent with it, and he can do some other things. But Bryant was good. It was plenty good enough in the situation he was in to be really effective in the one game that Turner missed. So that's really key. That I think was really important. So again, they can allow him. He's blocking shots. He's rebounding at a high level at a per minute basis. Defensively, I don't know if he's always where he's supposed to be, but he's like if he's wrong, he gets right fast. He gets back to the place where he's supposed to be relatively quickly. And so there's just a lot of smart things that he's done, I think, and a lot of ways that he's been helpful just to give them somebody else they can trust in that situation.
Dustin Dopirak covers the Pacers for the Indy Star, joining us here on the Sports Rush tonight. The Pacers on national TV. It's TNT game, 7 o'clock at home against Cleveland Cavaliers. They get the win in Cleveland. What are the keys against Cleveland? What do you have to do that most of the league hasn't been able to do to beat Cleveland?
I mean, obviously you got to really, really defend, and that's what they certainly did well, remarkably well in that game. I thought. I mean, they were. The full court pressure was really what changed things. I think they just weren't ready for it, and they managed just to break up a lot of things that Cleveland wanted to do. I mean, they were just totally thrown off. The tough part for this one is going to be they're certainly going to expect full court pressure this time, and so I think that's going to make it a little bit of a more difficult situation to do it twice because they're going to see it coming, they're going to have practice for it, and Rick Carlisle even suggested they're probably going to bring full court pressure themselves to try to turn it back around on the Pacers. So that's going to be difficult. But I mean, all in all, what's tough is you got to deal with those two bigs who are really talented and really skilled in Jared Allen and Evan Mobley. Mobley's really made that leap that he's looking like an all-star caliber player. That you're seeing him. He's got inside and outside talent. Allen does already as well. I mean, those two guys really work well together. You don't always have great chemistry between two bigs, and sometimes you can clog paints against them. And I think there have been times when they just had to play slow the last couple of years. They don't have that issue anymore. I mean, they're the most efficient team in the league, second leading scoring team in the league. I think maybe they might be third after the other night. But they're that far up that list. So those guys are really, really tough to guard, tough to deal with. And then you got to deal with Garland and Mitchell and Max Strus and Ty Jerome, coming off the bench. Jerome's probably out tonight. He's doubtful with an illness for a second straight game as well. But all of those pieces are really good. I mean, they've got really good, bench players. They've got very good depth. Again, the Pacers were fortunate enough to avoid Ty Jerome the other night because Ty's been, that's a guy that was sort of people were starting to forget about, was, kind of back and forth thing in the league. When you go back to, that's a guy who was really key in Virginia's championship run. Kenny Atkinson, I think, has found something new in him, and he's become a guy they can really trust to run that second unit. And so they got a lot of pieces, but those top four, Mitchell, Garland, and Allen, and Mobley are as good as anybody else has in the league.
When you look at the standings currently, Cleveland pretty comfortably in front of Boston in the East. But is Boston still the favorite, or is Cleveland kind of assumed that title based on the production so far?
I mean, I would say you assume that title for Cleveland at this point, but all the same, the Boston's there. I mean, I think you have seen vulnerability in Boston, and certainly they're a team that relies a lot on the three. And so if it's going down, they're not losing anybody. But if it isn't, they're vulnerable. And the Cavaliers have some of that as well. I mean, they're shooting a lot of threes right now too, and relying on the deep ball. But so that makes both of them some level of vulnerable. But I think the Celtics have shown a little bit more vulnerability. Probably if you're betting right now, it's probably Cleveland is probably getting the best odds, I would imagine. But all the same, Boston's certainly right there, and you have to respect the fact that they have won one already, and they know what that takes. It took them a while to get up that mountain, and so Cleveland hasn't been that close yet with this group of guys. Certainly they lost the Celtics in the Eastern Conference semifinals last year, but obviously the pressure ratchets up at every level, and getting to the Eastern Conference Finals, if that's what happens, if you end up, and I think you will, I ultimately think it's going to be a 7-game series between those two teams. Then you'll see, the experience work for Boston there. I apologize real quick. I got to get into this parking garage.
Nope, got to go. Got to let you off the hook. Appreciate the time, Dustin.
All right, thanks so much.
Yep, Dustin Dopirak joining us from the Indy Star. I think he's at Gamebridge Fieldhouse right now.
Yeah, sounds like he was pulling into the parking garage to get inside for the game.
Just getting to the game.
Yeah.
So appreciate his time on this Tuesday afternoon. Once again, the Pacers-Cavs will be the national TV game on TNT, 7 o'clock, which means the tip will be like 10 after 7.
Yeah, maybe even 10:15 or 7:15 if you're lucky.
Yeah, they put that at 7 for a couple of reasons. One, it's easy to put 7 o'clock. But the other thing, too, is doors usually open, an hour before?
Yeah, right
and
around
so it
there.
makes it easy. You can open up the doors at 6. You don't have to open up doors at 6:11 p.m., But anyway, that game coming up tonight on your television if you choose to watch that. Of course, the TGL Golf is going to be on ESPN. So you've got options tonight with Tiger Woods playing some golf. And, of course, he's kind of like the Caitlin Clark of golf.
He
brings
did
a lot of eyeballs.
He changed the media perception of the sport. Absolutely.
All right, we got to take a break. Coming up in our next hour, we're going to be talking to Dylan Sin from the Journal-Gazette. We've got to start breaking down this big Monday night.
Yeah, Monday.
Monday's a big day. It's Martin Luther King holiday. You've got the presidential inauguration. And you've got a national championship football game all on the same day on Monday.
What a day.
Busy day. But Dylan Sin will give us a preview of Notre Dame, Ohio State, and get us updated on the status of Notre Dame's health, which could be part of the storyline going into Monday. We'll talk to him coming up about 5:20. Also, it is a chance for you to win. We've got Tuesday Time Capsule Trivia. That comes up in about 15 minutes. It's all part of your Tuesday Sports Rush on 1380 The Fan and 100.9 FM.